folks. This is a grumpy old railroader, and I am running tracks back to the refinery and ironworks and the oil fields. I've got the track directly into the oil fields already. And anyway, I've got a switch up here that I'm going to use to break off and run over toward the ironworks. And purpose of this, I'm going to run over that way and then I'll run on over to the refinery and then I'm going to continue with some like work track, a construction track, and get around to the backside where let's bring it to a stop right here because there is our switch. So anyway, I thought while I was doing this, I would see if I could just make a little, or kind of let you guys follow along and hopefully give you some tips about laying track. So here's the first thing. We want to put another piece of road bed in here. And so I've kind of found you come over here and you click right about here just to the left of your switch stand, and then you pull out, you want to pull out this way to create a new road bed for your switch off. So what you do, you come in right about here. You see where that's popping in right there? You see the end of that? Get it where it's hiding, just about right there, and click. Okay. Now that piece that I just laid, we're going to delete that because we don't need that sticking out like that. But that gets us started and lined up just right. Now we're going to come out here. And there is a click point right there. If you'll notice that when you lay your road bed, sometimes when you put the track on it, it doesn't line up just right with the road bed, just because of the difference between laying track and putting down road bed. So you can carefully delete all your road bed, then come back and use these click points to get your road bed centered right under your track and make it look really nice. Anyway, right now we just want to pull out straight from that switch, and I'm just eyeballing this, and you see that's right about where we're merging or breaking away from the rest of the thing. All right, so here we come out. Now, at this point, we want to push the left alt button, and that locks us in perfect alignment, so we're coming out straight. Okay, that's important. Only once you've got it locked can you start setting curves. So now if you look at the little upper left-hand corner of the screen, we can adjust the gradient, the curve radius, and so forth. Now what I want to do, you see there's a little bit of temporary road bed here that I've already kind of set up an alignment to get me over toward the ironworks. So let's take a look at the map here. So you can see from the arrow where I'm coming through this little pass. So this track is already in from the freight depot all the way down to the oil field. And what I'm doing here is splitting off from the ironworks. Now eventually there's also going to be a track that runs directly from the oil field to the refinery. I mean, that makes sense, right? You can see why we'd want to do that. Anyway, but this is when we want to run direct, because you're going to have a lot of loads of material and so coming from the smelter directly to the ironworks. So this is going to let us have a direct path to the ironworks, and so that's the thinking here. Anyway, all right. So we're coming straight now, but we want to get aligned with this. We're going to intersect with the point out here that I've kind of got laid up. So we're going to start by making a little bit of a transition curve here. So I'm going to start with 5 degrees, and I'm going to just pull out a little bit like this. Not going to pull out a long way, and I'm going to click and get a 5 degree, and that's going to transition us into a little bit of a turn here. And then I'm going to let's go to 10 degrees, let's say. Or and we're going to come back to 0. So this is going to get us pointed. We should be, yeah, this is good. Okay. We'll do a little bit more of a transition on the other end. But anyway, so now we see that we're starting to converge with that preliminary line there. So, but this is going to give us a nice smooth departure from our straight track that we've got over there. So anyway, we're going to head out here straight, and you can see that we're starting to we're converging with this other line. So you can get a nice long, whoa, so here's where we were a minute ago. I kind of did this a second ago, so we want to just keep going. All right, so it's aligned here. And it's going to keep coming. So we will obviously be deleting some of this. Okay. So let's stop up right about here. And then we're going to, whoa, now we got some squirreliness. Let's see what we got. This is obviously an early access game, but wow, it's phenomenally stable overall. Let's see where we are here. Yeah, I wanted, when I laid that, I wanted to kind of get a little bit left of this alignment. Let's see, we're at 3. Let's stay with 3 degrees. And then we're going to straighten out a little bit here. Let's see what we're doing. I'll stay with 3 degrees. So we're still converging. If you notice, there's some buildings and things up here. It can get hard finding where, you know, when you're setting up alignments that you can barely see them there. But anyway, it can get hard setting alignments. You know, when you're running out through this dense trees. I believe that from watching the developer stream, there's like 300,000 trees on this map when you get started. So you can cut down a few trees; it'll be okay. But anyway, so we want to I'll set these buildings and things so that I can have a visual cue to find this, because you can run around in the woods trying to find the end of your road bed sometimes. If you put down just this road bed, it's not as visible as a building sticking up. So that's what these are all about. They're just going to go bye-bye in a little bit. But all right, that track that we see there, that trestle, that's obviously temporary. We're not going to run track up on top of that. That's more visible than the road bed, so that gives me a better sense of the alignment that I'm kind of shooting for. So you can see we're kind of coming around a curve. Now, I'm going to, so what we're doing is we're merging in. So this, once we get turned, this track will become the track that runs down to the refinery and a branch off to the ironworks. So there'll be some common track between the between the oil field and the refinery. So as we move down the track here, you know, I'm kind of thinking about how all this is going to come together in my head in a way that, and you know, you kind of have to think about how your alignment's going to come together, and also, you know, how operations are going to happen on your track. Instead of just getting some track somewhere, you got to think about, you know, how are you actually going to operate on it. Of course, you know, you can always add and change things, so it's not, you know, life or death or anything, but, you know, it never hurts to think ahead. Let's see. So, I want to show you another little trick. If you hold the shift key at this point, we can adjust our curvature by a quarter of degree. And, you know, that's laid a lot of track without knowing that, so that's a really nice little thing to know. Also, it really works if we were having to deal, see, I just went to a gradient, and you can see that it jumps way up with just a 1% grade over that long run. And I'm laying what's called constant gradient. So every click that I made all the way back to that switch is now coming up on, you know, even though I laid in segments, it's all coming up on a 1% grade. If we wanted to adjust the grade a little bit tighter there, if you hold the shift key again, you can adjust the grade by a 0.25%. So again, I laid a lot of track without knowing that, and that's a really good thing to know. So when you're laying track, you want to have some idea of how to do your curves and everything. So if you lay a good road bed, that gives you a real leg up on laying good track. Now it doesn't necessarily mean that the track will work out where it'll, because when you try to get nice curves and everything, sometimes the road bed, the way the game generates the road bed, sometimes it seems to be a hard thing to get the road bed to line up just right with the track to line up just right with the road bed that you put down. And the other thing is, it's hard to remember exactly at what point you transitioned. There's nothing once you've laid the road bed that tells you where you transition from a 3% curve to a 5% curve or whatever. So anyway, we're going to continue out through here. I guess I like this 2.75 alignment here. I don't know. All right, so we're about, yeah. Okay, I think I'm gonna kind of hit 2.5 here. So we've got just a little curvature. Let's see how far back we're going this curve. Yeah, so this is pretty long. Now notice how that curve seems to get sharper and sharper when I get back to my click point. If you see what I mean. So the other way that you can kind of adjust where the curve hits is simply change where you stop running curved track. In other words, the longer that you hold a 2% turn over the distance, the more you're going to get turned, of course. So a 2% turn is going to take you a lot longer to turn around. For instance, to turn 90 degrees or 180 degrees, however far you want to turn your track. So you can adjust it and you can get a much sharper curve. See. And then, but the trick is, as you lay track on top of it, like I say, you don't have any way of knowing exactly what point on your road bed you switched over from 5% to 10% curve or whatever. So it's kind of a trial and error thing, and it really ends up where you just kind of come back. So what we're going to do is stop right about here, because I think we're about in alignment. And now let's see what happens if I bump this down to a 0% turn and we start coming through. Okay, that's kind of what I want to do. I want to come around this corner a little bit. See, that track runs right, absolutely dead-eye straight into the siding at the ironworks. So what we're trying to achieve today is some track that just comes around, and we're going to kind of shoot for the refinery, but we're really aiming to run into that canyon there up toward the iron mine. Now, I don't think I'm going to run, not the iron mine, run into that canyon kind of there, because what we want to do is kind of get a work track that we can get to the coal mine. You have to have coal in everything that you produce from the ironworks. So coal is an integral element to the ironworks, and until you get the ironworks up and running, I've got the smelter running. The smelter is producing rail and raw iron, which are both used at the iron works. Well, not both. The iron works uses the raw iron, and strangely enough, the rail that's produced at the smelter is used at the coal mine. So before you can start pulling coal out, you've got to get rails delivered to the coal mine. So we're going to have rails coming out of the coal mine. We've got to get rails to the coal mine to get the coal coming out of the coal mine, which then will let us start producing ironworks. So we've already got the raw iron producing, but we don't have coal. So that's the bottleneck, or the missing element, I guess is more accurate. So that's why I'm kind of turning. I kind of want to come on around here a little bit. So that's given me a good place to switch off, but I'm going to see if I can turn a little bit more. Let's see how that looks. So and again, I'm trying to get turned just a little bit more to the southeast with this alignment here. So Yeah, okay. Well, let's don't do that right yet because we're going to need to put a switch in. So we're going to stay straight right here, and then we'll have a good spot there to put our switch into. If we decide to switch off, we may change this alignment. But anyway, that tells me where exactly that trestle track tells me where exactly the ironworks is as I'm planning the actual track. So it's really good to lay markers instead of just start slapdash laying track down, because you can, with all the trees and everything, it's a little bit tough to get a decent alignment without doing some of these types of things, at least for me. So these are my little tricks. They may not have anything to do with how you lay track, and you could possibly, you may have it all scienced out way better than I do. I understand that. So if this is helpful, great, and if it's not, well, there you go. Gives you something to diss on in the comments there, because we know how that is. But anyway, please do leave all the comments that you like, and I'm happy to see what you say about it. Anyway, here we go. We're gonna move on off. I think I'm getting some kind of, still want to keep turning a little bit here. Anyway, we're going to lay track and continue on, but this is just a few things about planning. Oh, one other little trick. We're coming through the woods here, and this tree here, for instance. Oops, I'm hanging up on it. This tree here, for instance, is right in the middle of where we don't want it. Let's say that I'd figured, laying track or whatever. So if you can come in here now, when you get doing nice curves and everything, you want to continuously click. You don't want to interrupt your curve in the middle, because it's hard to get a nice smooth curve if you do that. So you can, though, come in here and get rid of this tree. And this is a nice little trick. You get rid of this tree, and now we go right back. We're still laying either track. You could have been laying track or road bed. Now, I think that's the only thing that you can delete like that, but it's really nice to be able to drop a tree without losing your place in the middle of the curve, because if you're laying a really long, curve, and you want to have a really, really beautiful, transition curve that comes around, then you're going to have to click. You can't unclick in the middle of it to be able to do that. So getting rid of a tree that's kind of blocking your ability. I'm not worried about all these trees at the moment, but if I was laying track, it's really, you want to be able to see how the curve is kind of working. And so, yeah, this track is looking like it's kind of on the alignment we want. So let's click here, and then we're going to straighten up and shoot it on through. So, all right. So I'm just constantly looking at the map. I've already run down through here, and I kind of know where on the map I want to run track. And it's kind of hard. It would be really great if, when you lay tracks, they gave us some indication on the map of where those tracks are laid, at least. But alright, so we've come to the end of this string. You only pull it out so far, of course. See, there it ends. So you got to click at that point to continue. Anyway, so you can run these long strips of road bed. Let's see how we're doing. Alright, so if you notice, there's just a little bit of a hill to our left there. And we're staying kind of, and this, you can see I've got this running at a 0% gradient, and you see how beautifully this land is level, obviously, because if it was off just slightly, our road bed would go down into the ground or be running way, higher and higher and higher. Anyway, and this is just some temporary track or not temporary, but this track, eventually we're going to just, instead of actually hooking up at the moment to any of these industries, I want to get a temporary track around to be able to get easier access instead of, because it's a pretty good hike to the coal mine, and I'm going to go up there and start laying track. And anyway, this is an idea, but we're going to, this may not turn out to be as utilitarian as I'd like for it to be, but it is what it is. We're going to do it and see. And we're getting track headed toward the refinery, so it's going to pay off in some respect. Let's see. Well, yeah, I don't have a preliminary alignment to the refinery yet. I don't think. So, if you look at the map here, you know that somewhere around the word refinery, there's the refinery, but you don't really know where. There's not an actual, something drawn on the map that shows where it is. We were out looking for the coal mine yesterday because we hiked up there yesterday, and I figured out kind of got a couple of ideas about how I want to run track up there, but I'm going to try to see if I can get through this pass and so that I could have a direct line that comes from the coal mine northwest up through that pass and then comes back down to the ironworks. The question is just how much climbing we've got to do to get over that pass, so, and how feasible it is to do that. Ideally, scenically and all, I really would like to just run the coal mine track all the way through that canyon there that the coal mine's in, all the way up to the smelter and around, because man, that'd be a beautiful, nice, long run for the train. So ultimately, that's probably going to be the goal, to get all that track in and have a really nice run. And I'm not holding out much hope that this track is going to work across this pass, but I'm figuring for purposes of building the coal mine railroad, if I come down all the way down that other mine, because it really, to get from the coal mine to the iron mine, I've got track to the iron mine already, obviously, but to get there, it's a really steep climb. You're not going to get track, you're not going to get feasible, usable, workable track between the iron mine and the coal mine, I don't think. That's not to say you couldn't try, but and I don't think this pass is going to work out either. But it's going to give me where I can do a quick hike and then get back to the track. So, and I might even be able to, hump an engine over the pass and get it over there to the coal mine to help me run out the track as we work it back toward the smelter along that plateau there. So, if you can see, there's kind of if you see that little squirrely line that's really nicely snaking around, that's the river. And there's a really grand waterfall there, almost directly east of the E. The E in coal mine, if you just go directly east there, you can see that little line that's the river sort of just dies out into the side of the mountain there. Well, at that point, there's a huge waterfall coming down, much bigger than the one that you see going up to the iron mine. So it'd be nice to run tracks where you see that feature. So we're just gonna have to see how it works out. But it's gonna be a lot. If I run it that way, it's gonna be a long haul to the coal mine. But this is all about it's not high production. It's got to be done fast or anything like that. This is railroading for the fun of it, and running a train over a nice long run of track is, not a bad thing at all. So let's make about a 3-degree turn here. So let's pull this out and see how that looks. Okay, so I'm going to stop that. Right in there somewhere. Let's see where we're going to look at the map and see how we're aligning by the arrow on the map as we come through. See, so that's giving us, we might even want to kick it. Well, let's just stay with the 3. See how close we are here. All right, so see how it gets. If you try to get too close, it's going to be a little squirrely. Matter of fact, it's looking a little squirrely now. Let's see what happens when I go 5, maybe 6 degrees here. All right, so we're getting kind of the alignment that I want. I want to kind of head this track around where I can get to the refinery, but for right now, I'm just going to run up into that canyon as far as I can without going crazy in the grade. Let's see. Oh, we got a little 1/4% there. All right, and then just see how our alignment's going. So we're just going to keep on coming around. And, you know, notice I'm just kind of bumping the curve up by about 3 degrees. So I have a nice smooth curve. So hopefully we'll have a beautiful curve coming through that I can show you when we lay the track. And I'm going to try to do that for you so you can see. So let's see our alignment. Okay, we don't need to get quite that sharp, so let's don't go to 12. Let's just stay at 9 here. So we'll come there and then we'll pull out again. And now we can start coming back out of the curve, so we're going to go back to 6. And of course you're going to see when I start laying track that to get that curve. All right, where are we? All right, so we're starting up. We don't want to keep going. We want to come back out of that curve. So anyway, this may turn out to be temporary track or whatever, but anyway, it's going to give me an opportunity to show you how to do a nice transition curve, and that's where you're varying transition curve. You come out, you start to turn slowly, and you increase the rate of turn as you go through the curve to the maximum that you need, and then you decrease the rate of turn to come back out of it, and that gives you a nice transition. All right, so there's our path to shoot up in there. I think we've kind of gotten pretty good alignment to just kind of shoot it back in there and like I say, from this point, this track is just work track, you could say. That, especially in that, this is mid to late 19th century railroading, and logging railroading, so narrow gauge. So they laid track, in a kind of a. They would just lay track right on the ground sometimes without ties or anything. Get it down. They would move the engines. They'd move things in a temporary way. They might be working on an alignment and they just needed to move some stuff until they could blast through, a piece of rock or, whatever. So they would lay temporary track, and that's kind of what we're doing here. And we're just going to see how it works out. So anyway, we're wanting to get up into this smelter. Now I notice the ground is starting to change. You can see now that we're higher, we're higher above the ground. The other thing, well, let's keep pulling straight, and we're going to just see how high we get here. I don't guess it hurts to get high because I let it come up, because we're obviously going to have to really come up if we were to actually be able to get track over this. We'd have to be climbing here at least. I have decided on my railroad that I'd like to keep it at 3% grade maximum. Now, I'm not saying that I have verified absolutely that is possible, but I have gotten track all the way up to the iron mine at a constant 3% grade, and we're running trains up there with no problem, running 12-car lumber trains up there, and we haven't had a single problem doing that, except for when I dunderheadedly forget to flip a switch. All right, so this track's kind of getting high, so let's just stop right there. So we just ended our road bed. So now everything, had I changed the grade on that, right there where it was coming up, and tried to get it to come down, I had used, when you come into your G menu and you come to groundwork, you've got constant grade or variable grade. Constant grade, you can lay segments, and every segment that you lay is in one series. So you click, you click, you click, you click until I ended that back there. I could have adjusted that grade, and that grade would have been constant from where I clicked to end it all the way back to where we started back at that switch. It would have adjusted the grade and stayed constant. Now, in the case of that, if I'd have gone down, say, 1 degree of grade, or up, 1 degree of grade, it would have put the roadbed under the terrain, under the ground up here where I am now. So you've got to be conscious of that when you're using constant grade. But if you're climbing with a 3% grade and you want to make sure your track is nice and smooth, and you've got a constant 3% grade coming up, then that's the way to do it. But you've got to be conscious of what is happening, because as you're coming up, one other thing that you need to kind of think about in this game, when we start laying track, you'll notice that it doesn't cost anything to lay track in the game. However, strangely enough, there's my fundage, $29.55. Notice it's $29.53 now. It costs $2 every time I cut a tree down. So you can. I've spent thousands of dollars cutting trees to put in lines. So just a little FYI there. I laid a lot of track without realizing that my money was going away over cutting trees, not laying track. So see, for right now, I'm not cutting every tree. I'm just trying to cut the ones that are going to kind of mess up my sight lines as I start to lay track out through here. Anyway, and the ones that are kind of off to the edge, I'm just letting them go. Another tip is, if you're coming back through, you've laid track, say, and you've got your train running, and the train runs fine, but you've got branches like this that slap you in the face as you go by. You stop the train. I stopped the train going up to the Iron Man on the 3% grade there, and we've got track that's running along the contours of the land, so we're on a cliff there. And I get off and I cut a series of trees that I'd left a little close to the track there. And turned around to walk back. I'm walking along the train, cutting trees, just happily. Turned around to walk back, and my train's off going down the side of the cliff because the trees fell, knocked my train over. So, just a little FYI on that. Remember that the trees can knock your rolling stock down, your engines too. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this temporary alignment here as we go. Let's see. They can knock it, and I had no idea it would do that, because a tree can fall on you. It doesn't hurt you. So you are invincible or immortal or whatever in this game, which is good, because you fall off cliffs and all kinds of things happen to you. And if you weren't, okay, I'm thinking we're good on this alignment. I'm probably going to have to delete some more trees, but like I showed you, I can delete trees. Now, we've definitely got two road beds coming through here. Alright, so let's leave that. And we're going to work our way back, and I'm going to start laying track and see if I can show you how to lay some nice track. This video is probably getting too long and nobody will watch it, but that's okay. I'm going to put it up there, and it's going to work out right. So here's one thing to bear in mind. When you first click and attach, you always make sure you've got that little chain icon showing, so that it's showing you that you're snapping to the existing track. If I press the left alt key right now, it's not going to lock. It doesn't lock on the very first attachment. So this is an eyeball problem. You've got to eyeball this track. And if you put it on a little angle like that, that just ends up with janky, crappy looking track. Now once we lay this first piece of track, then we can push the left alt key and start to do some nice, controlled curves. All right, so now notice I can't move it back and forth. If I push left alt, you know, I can do that. But if I push it again, it holds an alignment. Now, so here we come, and we're already starting to get out of alignment with the road bed. So I believe we started this out with a 3% curve. So we're going to start at 3%. We kind of want to, we don't want to be so married to staying in the middle of the road bed that we get crazy. And I think we went to like 5 or 6%. Then we get crazy. See, I'm already not quite what I want to be doing because this is so straight here. It would be really great to swing out of this switch and get a nice alignment right straight down the middle of this track here. So let's get the track laying and get it set where we feel like we're running straight. So we've got to kind of, you don't get any help here. You've got to eyeball the center of this road bed, but you know that should be good enough. So I'm going to lay a piece of track here, and now I've got to eyeball the center. So I'm going to come back down, and you've got to remember that, you know, perspective being what it is. You know, lines recede to the horizon as they move away from you. So you can see that happening with the track. Well, look at how it happens on each side of the track in the road bed, and kind of get a... And of course, you can be off a little bit. When you run that length of track right there, you're going to find out that... Anyway, I'm going to lock it in, and let's see. Let's see if we're running straight. See, now we're already starting to get off, I believe. Let's see. Yeah. Excuse me. So, you kind of, if you want to get this looking really good, you have to be patient. You have to do some trial and error, because the tools, and it would be absolutely grand if they'd let you snap to the center of the road bed, but they don't. But the tools, you know, are what they are. So work with the tools that we have and get the best, you know, to be able to get the best results. And yeah, you notice how when I popped that in there, see, I thought I had that first piece lined up, but see, it's got like a little bit of an S in it when it went to the 3% grade, so, or the 3% curve, excuse me. So, you know, you just got to keep on working with it. Let's get that back out of there. Remember that if I, you know, this is the end of your switch where the ties are overlapping right there. That's the end of the switch divergence. So you want to be careful, because I have deleted the dang switch, and then that's a problem, because see, you don't get a snap right here where this track and this track are meeting up. You don't get a snap there. So then you got to delete some of this track and snap it back in when you your switch only snaps on the points end. You can't get a snap on either of the divergent ends. So just a little FYI on that. Alright, so we've got this beautiful, nice straight line, and we want to get this track going straight. So, you know, you just got to try it this way instead of doing it backwards, and get a look down that straight line this way and see if we can get this first piece just perfect. Alright, now we got to push the left alt and just start running track down through here. And yeah, it seems to work best for me to lay it backwards, but you know, that's a matter of... And you can see that we're starting to get off. Alright, so another little trick, when you can see you're starting to get off, is just adjust it a little bit. So we're going to try this one more time. And this is what I'm talking about. If you want good track, if you want it really perfectly nice alignment, really just looking bang up beautiful track work, you've got to have patience. You've got to just use trial and error, because that's the situation with the tools. This, you know, unless I've really missed something, or there's some undocumented way to get it to lock on to the center of the road bed or something that I don't know about, in which case, you know, all I can say is, you know, it's an early access game and there is no documentation. But if there was, I'm definitely one of those guys that is as much as I am really loving this game, I guarantee you I'd have read every freaking speck of information about laying track if there had been. All right, so notice we know that I'm thinking that they were a little bit off. So what I did was I bumped it a little bit. Matter of fact, I think I'm going to just bump it half a degree to the left and see what the alignment, how the alignment works on that. It kind of looks like maybe, I'm going to say 3/4 of a degree. Yeah, so this is crazy. I know it's crazy. You know it's crazy, but it's what you got to do if you want to get good track work. I mean, I have a feeling the tools are going to improve. You know, we might have it here. Look at this. Let's see how we do. Staying pretty damn close. So we get a nice string of straight track coming down through here, see? Then we can delete on the other end where I have that little turn, we can delete that. And then we can work that curve off of the switch into it and get a really nice transition from the switch into this line. It looks like I've got this centered really beautifully. So let's you know, I don't want to mess it up, but this damn tree is in the way. Now, if I just click out of this, then I have to eyeball a piece of track, and we don't want to eyeball a piece of track after we've got this set and coming straight down this line. I'm pressing the G key, the logging tool. I'm going to cut this tree, and please God, let this go right back to the way it was. All right, now we are back to laying track, and I believe the logging tool, wow, it's still up, so I may be able to, so we've got this little extra piece of roadbed underneath us here, and here we go, we've got, wow, I didn't realize the logging tool stayed up like this, but hey, I'm going to be happy and say let it rip. So just going to keep on coming and cutting trees out of the way. Okay, and we still got our track work coming, so I've never had it lock in like this. Okay, it looks like we may have adjusted a little bit here because obviously this one's coming straight and this one's starting to diverge from it. Something's happening, so okay, I'm going to stop the track work right there. Now we can get back into that. You can eyeball it and get it pretty damn close to perfect straight. So anyway, what we want to do is get to that curve over there, the longer curve that I did. And I want to show you how to get a nice sweeping curve that looks good. So, you know, I don't know how long are we now. Wow, 43 minutes. Let's get this switch connected in, and maybe we'll do a part 2 on this. Yep. Alright, so we've just got to eyeball that so we can have something to work off of. And you know, the distance that you come out from that switch, I may have come out too far. I may want to make that piece of track shorter to make this line up. So we want to end up getting this lined up here. Now, let's start turning it and see what we got. All right, so that's a 10-degree turn right off the bat. I don't want to do that much if I can help it. So what that tells me is that this piece of track here probably doesn't need to be this long. So let's, you know, the distance, the point where you start your curve has to do with where the curve ends and all that kind of stuff. So let's see. Yeah, I want to make it, let's try it right about there. And if we aired on our angling of this, we want to air toward where we're trying to get the curve in rather than the other way. So let's put it in like that. Press the left Alt key. All right, that locks us in where the track, so that we're now controlling the curvature by using the Q and E keys, or at least it's the Q and E keys on my key. I may have adjusted the maybe R and T, I forget on the default setup. But all right, I've got a 7-degree curve. I'm going to say 6. I'm not going to pull it way out because obviously it's not going to make it. I'm going to hit it right there. All right, now I'm going to tighten up the curve just a little bit. All right, see, that's there, but we can see that it's going to be a little janky. It's going to have a jerk in it. We don't want that. We want a nice, smooth curve. And we're going to do this. We're going to fiddle with it until we get that, because we can run trains over this from then on. You know, you spend the time getting this done right now. And, okay. Now I could click, I'm sorry. I could press the left Alt button right now and then just snap this together. And it might look just perfect. But if I go in, I hold my Shift key, and I just twiddle up, let's go the other way. See there? Now I've got that aligned and I've got the snap. Let's look at that from up here. To tell you the truth, I don't think it's quite perfect, but you see, you have to have that little straight piece there to get, to lock. You have to get that highball, that very first piece, and then you can lock in where you can use your tools. But otherwise, that looks like it, turned out pretty well. So let's fire up. Well, I don't know whether it can fire up this engine. It's probably still doesn't have any. I have to sit and wait for it to warm up just so I can run it through that track for you. So, tell you what, I'm going to throw some logs on it. Maybe we'll go back and lay some more track, and then we can come get it and run it back to where we're working. So let's do that. On this engine, this is the Cook Porter, I guess. If you've been playing the game, you know that. But if you haven't been playing the game and you're just interested in what you go through, I think it's the best engine. It's to me, there's other engines, Heisler, Climax, and there's other engines you can use. The two geared engines, the Heisler and the Climax, they're really powerful, but they're slow. They so if you want to get someplace, basically you use those to really climb some steep grades, I believe. And I may end up having to get a Heisler. The word is they are at some point going to add a Shay, which would be fantastic, because the Shay is the ultimate, geared locomotive as far as I'm concerned. And if you don't believe me, visit the Cass Scenic Railroad in West Virginia, and you'll be a believer. They've got like 4 or 5 Shays there operating. At least they did when I was there. And they are fantastic. They're a marvel of mechanical engineering, and you just can stand and just watch those things operate. Just watch the gear mechanism. They're fantastic. The engineering achievements of man, are not just going to space. I mean, there were magnificent things that led us to where we are today. And the steam engine, to me, is one of those things, one of those moments in our development as a human race that propelled us forward. With all its pollution and everything else that came with it, still, it is one of the mechanical marvels of the 19th century, surely. And if you're if you're watching this, then you probably I don't have to tell you that. You already know that. Oops, I've got my little controller set up where I flip back and forth between controlling the engine, running the engine, and this. So let's see, what's okay? That's dying in. So you'll notice we got 2 road beds here. So at this point, I'm not worried, since we're getting ready to go through this curve. So I'm not particularly worried about not being lined up. I can come back and I can snap this road bed perfectly centered underneath this line if I want to. This alignment may or may not be my final alignment, but it's it's certainly going to do the job of showing you guys. All right, so we want to get turned here. Is this the sweeping turn that I did for you guys, or am I think this is a little preliminary. We're just kind of making an adjustment here. This is not the turn that I went through, so what we want to do is just get turned, and probably about 5 degrees here. So if you, I don't know for sure, but it looks like as you pull this out, see, it kind of turns through the 5 degrees because it's 5 degree turn over 100. So once it gets a 5 degree turn, you can see it kind of straightens out. So what I do is lay these tracks in about, when I'm coming through doing a transition curve, I lay them in about a half of a track length. So you can pull out and you see that's the full track length. I try to lay them about half of a track length. And then you'll see as I continue to click, it kind of, the game automatically. So we're going to come around a little steeper here, 10 degrees, yeah, let's see, 10 degrees, where are we? I don't think we need to go 10 degrees. Matter of fact, we might just hold 5 degrees and swing on through here. Let's try that. But the game sort of equalizes the curvature. So what you see when you click is not what you get. But you've got to kind of eyeball it. Notice how it's swinging around here. Let's see. So we got to kind of figure out where we want to straighten out here. So we just keep on coming. And you can see every time I click, it kind of equalizes the curvature, and it looks nice. All right, let's slow up to about 3 degrees right here. Now this is one little thing. For some reason, occasionally it just doesn't want to click. You just gotta keep clicking till it finally does it. Now there's straight. I've noticed sometimes when you're coming out of the curve that you have to lay the last piece at like a 1 degree angle, because it doesn't, especially if you're coming out of a sharper, if you've had to lay where you had to go into, say, from straight to a 10 degree curve, when you're coming out of it, sometimes if you just leave 1 degree, it will kind of make it look a little better, because for some reason if you go right straight, it just, anyway, that's all a matter of just eyeballing it and seeing what you think it's going to do and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, I'm just trying to get with the road bed program here again. So you can see this curve is starting to get all over the place. I want to get back here where we can do that long curve and see if I can show you. So can we get back to the center line of this road bed? That's the question. So where are we and where are we trying to get here? So we're probably just going to run. Let's see. Yep. So we've got a curve. We're going to be curving again. So it's not hypercritical that I get lined up with the center of this road bed like I was on that, like I wanted to be on that long stretch earlier. Because like I say, we can come back and realign this road bed underneath it and it'll look perfect. Okay. So we definitely want to straighten out now. Come on. Sometimes it just don't want to click. Okay, so here we are. I let myself think I was going to be straightened out, and I'm not. So we gotta drop back and punt here. Alright, well, for purposes of getting on down the road for the moment, we're gonna give this track a little help getting lined up. Okay, so and then we're starting to come back. It's really good track laying practice not to go to like come out of a curve, say coming to the right, and then just switch right into a curve going to the left like an S. You need to lay at least a car length of track straight, and that makes for much smoother operations as the trains go through the curve. Gives them a chance to kind of adjust themselves, straighten out a little bit. Alright, so this curve is transitioning a little bit. So if this is the curve, this is basically, we went from 3 degrees to 6 degrees to 9 degrees. And then we held 9 degrees for a little bit, so let's see. That's looking okay. Need to get rid of some trees, and we need to come back to 6 degrees. I think we're going to have to come out a little bit shallower than that. 3 degrees? It's looking good, so hey. Alright, so you just constantly want to be, you know, looking at where you are, where you're going, and trying to. Alright, so we're curving a little more into this. Yeah, so if I'd have done, this is running really straight here. So it'd be great to get lined up the center of this roadbed, it really would. Or at least perpendicular to it. Let's see what that looks like. So it looks like the way I came out of our curve, we may be running down the edge of this roadbed. Now we got to come back. Let's see. Let's see what that looks like. Okay. Well, we're running pretty straight. We're just not down the center of the roadbed. So, you know, you take the little triumphs that you can get. All right, let's see how we do here. We may progressively start to get off the roadbed. But anyway, at this point, even if we do, as long as I can continue to lay track, I'm going to keep this straight going. And then, like say, at some point, if I get really, really into cleaning up and making everything perfect, I can come back and center this roadbed and make it look just right. Now, I could have, this video is getting long, I could have did a little trick that I did before on that other and got track running right straight down this long line of roadbed here. And we're running straight, it's just I'm not centered, but like I did when we started out there at the switch, you know, I laid the straight and then I worked between the switch and the straight and got my alignment. I could have done that on this and hit it right straight if I'd wanted to spend the time to do it. But this video is getting way too long as it is, and I really want to get through this curve up here. But anyway, so we're working our way down this straight, and you've just got to keep on. So I hit, if you look, see, we're staying right where it is, though. I mean, that's kind of amazing. I don't know whether if you laid some track, you know it's amazing to hit it and get it to stay this straight. Because, you know, if I was off a half degree, this length, I'd already be off, starting to go off the roadbed. So, That's another little triumph as far as I'm concerned. And in track laying, you gotta enjoy those little moments, baby, because it takes a while. But the thing is, all right. So here we're starting to get off, and that I must have. Yeah, it looks like the roadbed turns a little bit there, so I don't know why that is, but it is. It is what it is. So we're just going to continue since the roadbed looks like it turns. I'm going to continue coming straight and then hopefully work into this curve here. Is this our nice long curve? Notice I still haven't clicked. We still have track lay. We're still in track laying mode. You don't want to get out of that if you're going to start working through a curve. This is this nice long sweeping curve. Okay, so I want to get this in. I want to show it to you, and then I'm going to run the train over it and let you see how nice it is, how satisfying it is to get a beautiful curve in. And that's the thing. I think this game is probably the most satisfying game I've ever played. From the standpoint of building, that mix of building and playing and shooting zombies, all those great things that make a great game. Oh, wait a minute. There's no zombies in this game. Well, for all you zombie killers, you're going to be disappointed in that regard. I'm very sorry to say. I just got to the point where killing zombies is just a little boring for me. So, this game is a challenge. You've got to analyze the ground. You've got to spend some time instead of slapdash laying track if you want nice track, operating track, and all that. And that's why I'm making this video. I hope to help some folks out with their track laying. We're still coming around here. Let's see, we're at 7 degrees. I'm going to tighten up a little bit to 9. I believe 9 was as tight as we got here, but see, now you can see that the roadbed, it doesn't necessarily that looks like I should have turned even sharper, but I didn't. So I'm going to hold the 12. I'm not going to get any sharper than 12. Let's see, I don't want to lay but about a half. I don't want to lay a full. I'm going to lay about a half of a section. All right, now we're going to start working back out. You can see the 12 is too sharp. So, yeah, I probably should have started working out one earlier. Anyway, let's see what we get here. Doggone it. Let's see. We're still curving. Yep. Alright, so as much as I hate it, I'm going to delete this track because we're just not getting the alignment that I want. I want to get a nice, beautiful, and you can see the curve is looking pretty good up to that point. But you would be able to detect that I changed my, I noticed this piece, this was straight when we laid it, okay? But the game, when it equalizes the curve, it may come back into that straight and put a slight, it's got a little slight kick in it, so I'm going to delete that. And then we're going to put in a piece, and it'll probably kick it again, but we're going to lay it straight. So we're going to come out here. Now, the key right here is we've got to eyeball this straight. The game does not help us lock in, and I'm hoping they're going to fix that and let you lock a piece in straight out, because that would really, really help. Not sure what their thinking was on this, but, I certainly can't criticize these guys, because as far as I'm concerned, they are freaking heroes. This game is awesome. And to me, to be a early access game 3 weeks out of the shoot, I mean, oh my God, this game plays like a dream. Alright, there we are. I've got locked in with my left alt key, and I'm going to start the curve. So let's see if we can get this thing going. Okay, now, I believe I started at 3 degrees when I laid the roadbed. So let's say about 3 degrees. And I know I did 3.6. Okay, and then I came to 9, and I believe I held 9 all the way through this curve. And see, a minute ago when I laid this, I had to go to 12, so that meant I was off already. So we're just going to hold this 9 and see if we can come through. But anyway, as you can see, once if you lay the road bed, then you come back, 3 days later, you're not going to remember. If you're me, you're sure as hell not going to remember how you transition this curve. But I have kind of a standard. This is my most standard way of laying a transition curve is 3 degrees, 6 degrees, 9 degrees, 12 degrees, 15, 18. I don't go over 20 degrees. So if I coming up by 3, sometimes I go 5, 10, 15, 20. But anyway, just depending on how tight I've got to get the curve. In rare cases, I have gone to 24 degrees, I think. But I've never gone beyond that. And that is track that's in definitely a slow track area where you're leaving a loading area, so you're not going to be going through there fast anyway. Now, coming back, this curve may work out nice, and you're going to get to see how to lay a beautiful transition curve. And here we go. I just said that. I said that too early, didn't I? Because here we go. It's not. Now I'm going to have to kind of back the curve in there. So see what that's telling me is I should have hung in there a little bit longer with that 9 degree. I didn't get it worked around quite far enough with that before I started transitioning back out of the curve. So ultimately, wow. Okay, guys, unbelievable as it is, I'm going to lay this curve one more time. And if I was laying this, when I was laying the tracks up to the iron mine, I had to, I started up at the iron mine. In certain sections, I had to, get bridge alignments and everything like that. And as I did that, sometimes I would have to meet up tracks. And if you think this is tough just trying to get worked through here like this, I'm hoping the payoff when I get this curve in is going to be worth it for you guys to see what it takes to get a nice piece of track in, and that it's actually worth the effort. And there, but that's of course a matter of your own aesthetic and so forth. And I may have a little bit more patience than some folks. I understand that. Or you could put it another way. I'm just too damn picky. And reality is I don't lay all the track to this kind of degree of perfection that I'm trying to achieve here to show you. But really nice track that's the main track that's going to be run, where you're going to run the engine over it a lot. I do try to achieve, get a really nice curve. And if you've seen any of my streams running up to the iron mine, you can see that we've got some really nice curves. And it's a joy to run over it. All right, we're at 9. I'm going to stay at 9 this time. And see, I didn't get into the 9 soon enough. Oh man. If you watch those videos, sometimes you watch a video and the guy shows you, how to become a billionaire in Elite Dangerous in 4 hours or something, and how to do this or how to do that. They just make it look so easy, and it's like, yeah, the noob's going to roll in 4 hours. 4 hours later, he's going to be a billionaire. He's going to have everything that, that all the perks for achieving elite status in Elite Dangerous or whatever game you're talking about. How to get the caterpillar in 8 hours or 5 hours, whatever in Star Citizen. How to buy a caterpillar. And you know, I watched those videos, man. I watched videos to help me get started in Elite Dangerous, and but the thing about those videos, to me, that um, the presenters kind of leave out, and and it's kind of a big thing to leave out as far as I'm concerned. But they, you know, they tell you, yeah, you can do this, and you certainly, they show you on the video, you can do this in 4 hours, and you're right. The only thing is, they've got something that helped them do that, helped them achieve that you're not gonna have, and that's the fact that they've got hours and hours of experience in the game. And so for them to do something in 4 hours is a hell of a lot easier than for you to do something in 4 hours as a noob that doesn't know doesn't know the user interface. You don't, you know. So to me, those kind of videos are a bit deceptive. This video is showing you that, hey, it doesn't happen by magic, baby. It's not a you can lay perfect track and get all the track in on this game in 5 hours. Let's see where we're at here. Oh God, this is gonna be my last attempt at this thing, I believe. All right, so we've got a nice curve coming in there, 3. So we're gonna go through that nice curve. Where are we? Where are we? Where are we? All right. I promise you, I'm not gonna put. I'm gonna have to do a little more transitioning here. It's not gonna be what I. But anyway, you're gonna see it's still gonna be a nice curve. Because the key to it is, even though it's not a constant curve, oh Lord. All right, let's choo-choo this curve. See, right into here, it's just perfect. It's really perfect right into there. And then I came out of it too soon. So the roadbed underneath here is not, it's not a, you can see that it doesn't hold a beautiful constant curve. The way to fix it is to put some more temporary roadbed in so that I can lay this curve the way I really, really want to. And then I'll just, you know, I'll fix the roadbed the way that I can show you how to fix the roadbed too. Where are we in this little video? We're an hour and 12 minutes in at this point, so yeah, nobody's watching at this point anyway. But anyway, I'm going to give myself some extra room here with this roadbed, as you can see. And then I'm going to leave it sticking out like that so that I know which one, well, probably how to delete it based on what was in there. So we can, that way we can work this curve however we want to and come around, and we're going to have a little extra. Because the roadbed doesn't appear to have laid as in a nice transition curve. You know, sometimes it depends on how far you pull out each section of roadbed at what degree, and the roadbed rarely ends up matching back the way you want it to. Now, I can't believe we're on attempt whatever here, but here we are. But I'm going to tell you, this is not, I mean, to achieve the results you want, this is not unprecedented for me. Maybe I'm the sorriest track layer that's ever played this game in the last 3 weeks or 4 weeks. That's not quite 4 weeks yet. But, you know, those guys that probably just tearing this stuff up. Anyway, when you watch me do it, you're watching, you know, more like what, I mean, you can use the tools, the knowledge that I give you, and you can do this yourself. You can see how I'm doing it. I mean, it's just persistence. All right, let's come on to 9 degrees. Now, we really thought 9 degrees was going to get us around here. Now, one little thing, if you'll notice, that we've got this little trench here. You don't want to click down, you don't want to click your track when you're down in that little trench, because wherever you are, whatever, like, look, You see, I'm telling it. I'm going to click at this level. You see how the track dies down out of the roadbed. So you want to be up on the top of the roadbed when you click. That's the point of that little. All right. Okay, we're coming to 12 degrees here. And still 12 degrees is not really. Oh boy. So it's doesn't want to click. All right. I'm going to get rid of this little trench in the middle so that it doesn't mess me up. Okay. Somewhere there's a beautiful curve here, and I just haven't found it yet, but I will. Wow. Okay. So let's get our 3-degree turn to get started here. Come on, baby, let me click it. There we go. All right. That's 3. Now we're going to kick around to 6 degrees. Start our transition. Now we're going to go to 9 degrees. Kind of keep an eye where we are with the road ahead of us. Now I've got this road bed into the point where I can stay with 9 degrees, I believe. So we're going to do that and just come on around. Alright, now we got to be conscious of where we are. And if we come out of this curve too early, you know, we know what happens. So let's try to hold our metal here, get through this curve, maximum 9 degrees. Here we go. We're still coming around. Come on, baby. Just keep coming. Look, here we are. Come on, come on, come on. Okay. Don't lose your grit. Stay with 9 degrees. Don't come out too soon. Okay, we're staying with 9 degrees. Okay. Wow. Okay, let's see. Who's the real deal here? All right. Let's see. This I think we're on the added road bed. We're still at 9 degrees. So, okay, I'm going to risk it because these trees are really, really aggravating me. I guess while we're cutting trees, I'll get that one too. Yeah, okay, so still coming around at 9 degrees. And we're starting to come back to our road, our straight line here, so I'm going to come back to 6. And then I'm going to come back to 3. And now we're going to straighten out. Alright, there you can kind of see it. See, it doesn't quite, it looks like we're swinging too far out of the curve. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that 1 degree in there. And then I'm going to go to 0 degrees. Get that last section in absolutely straight. Come on, let me lay it. Okay, now I can click onto that. So, And the road bed is not running quite straight. But I got a beautiful curve here, so dadgummit. I'm pretty sure I've got a beautiful curve here. So let me show you. Let's see where we would be if we hold this line and just head on. Let's see where we would be. So we're going to take a look at our map. Yeah, that's not too bad. We could just come hold that line for a little bit. Alright, so look at this. If I lay roadbed, notice that click. You see that chain there? So that's snapping. Whoops. The only problem is it's snapping to the height of the tie. We don't want to snap to the height of the tie. We want to snap to the height of the roadbed. Okay. So let's pull that out straight with this track. Tree. Sort of like squirrel. Tree. Alright, I'm going to pull that out there and nail this freaking tree. Okay, so what I wanted to show you, which, yep. I know what you're thinking. Dude, if you keep deleting, you're never going to get done. And, you know, you got a good point. At some point, you've just got to get happy with it. But, you know, I'm not happy yet. Let's see. Here we go. All right, that's straight. Now we're going to hit the left shift and lock it in. All right, and run out here a little bit. We're getting in the weeds. So we probably need to get back aligned on this. But anyway, for the purposes of our little demonstration, we're going to pull this out straight. And I will fiddle with this later. And come out of this curve however I do it. But anyway, I'm just putting an overrun in for the engine because I'm going to run the engine down here and let you see it. One more. Hell, maybe two. Yep. Looks like it's two. There it is. Okay. Now, if you recall, up here, let's delete this. Okay, I clicked on, so there's obviously where I clicked. So we're going to very carefully delete only the roadbed. Only the roadbed. Only the roadbed. Because if you click and delete a piece of track in the middle of a curve, you will never get that one piece of track back in and have a nice curve. The only way to fix it is to start the curve all over, as you saw me do several times. So anyway, now I'm going to show you how to get this roadbed back in here perfectly centered on this track. Okay, let's see what we got up here. And the trick is to get that first catch. So let's see. We've got to have deleted enough. See, the roadbed's not straight here. So, man. Oh gosh, this video is way too long. But anyway, for you diehards, which I'm one of those guys that if this guy's doing a video and he's showing me some stuff that's valuable to me, and it takes him a while to lay it out, I'm like a in the weeds kind of detail guy, and I'm probably not gonna do well on YouTube. But hey, that's what I do. So there you go. Alright, so we've deleted that. We're almost all the way back to the switch. So that's close. I'm going to say that's close enough. The reason I'm running back, I can't get clicked in. I can't get snapped into that. But if you recall, I laid that piece back at the other end at a snap point. I think I can get snapped back into that one. hope so. Problem is when you're laying really nice track, you can't get the cursor to drop down in between. So you never get a... In other words, when I try to put the roadbed in, it's going to put the roadbed in at the height of the top of the ties, and we want the roadbed at the bottom of the ties. So there's that. Here we can get rid of this tree, though. While we're coming back. Delete some of these trees here because actually where you can see this curve. It's nice to be able to see your train going through a curve, and that's not just for aesthetic purposes, but you know, as you go through curves, you can verify you haven't lost a car and link broke or whatever, and you've got some cars that are left back somewhere back down the line. Okay, so here we are. That track is nice and centered. Unfortunately, okay, I'm going to delete a piece of track here because I have to get a click on the roadbed. So this is the only way I can do it. If I left the track there, it won't let me get clicked down in the roadbed. But here we're on, we're on the height of the roadbed. Now, we're just going to run up here. Now, we don't need to hit that one because, but we're going to hit this one. We're going to hit these clicks. Every time we get a link, so, you know, this little chain link here, which tells us that we're locking on to the center. Whoops! I think I might have missed a tree there, fellas. You know what? I really need to get these trees because after I walk all the way up there, I'm going to fire that engine up and ride it through this curve for them. And not sure you want to. Anybody will still be around at that point, but hey, that's what we're going to do. Anyway, okay. Tell you what, I've had people sit and watch an 8-hour Twitch stream of this game, so there may be a couple people that watch this video, who knows. It's obviously going to be here on Twitch, but I'm going to try to get it up on YouTube as well, if I can conquer some YouTube issues here. Let's see, which really are video editing issues for me. Did I miss a click point? There it is. Now, once we get to the straight, we don't have to hit every click point. Now we're into the straight, so that means we're clicked straight on the straight. So we can just run this thing on out. We don't have to hit every one of those clicks because there's going to be one at each junction. See, there's one, there's one. At each end of a track, there's a snap point. And now we may get to the point where we run this. This is not going to go any further. Yeah, it's right there. So in that case, we're going to hit this click point, and then we're going to continue. All right. Wow, this is a long little piece of straight track. Got another one. I should show you that, you know, you can try it for yourself. But anyway, even if you click way off to the side, if the little chain is up, it will snap it to the center of the track, which is what we want. See, because this roadbed is now perfectly centered on my track, which is a good thing. All right, let's see here if we can get this to pop in there. Look at that. Looks like it was done that way on purpose. Okay. So, gosh, I hope we got enough trees up to get through here. With the engine. This one definitely would be problematic for all you fellas that are saving your dollars and not cutting every tree down, which I can understand that. Early game, man, you don't want to waste all your money cutting down trees. So, wow. Yep. I think we're good that way at this point. So let's book it on back to our engine. Yes, we're booking it on back to the engine. Looks like we're gonna have to cut another one up here. Anyway, gonna cut trees as we go. Get the engine fired up and let you see this beautiful curve as you come through it on the engine. But anyway, see, this is a nice little transition here. Wow. When they say there's 300,000 trees on this map, I believe them. I really do. Because there's a lot of damn trees on here. What do we have? I had 29. I think I had 29.55 because I just bought that mogul. Okay, so I've spent almost 200 on trees just doing this little demonstration track for you fellas. And ladies, I hope there's some females that might get interested in this game because, you know, railroading is for everybody, not just for some. I'm not going to delete that little side section of roadbed there because, yeah, it should be completely superfluous. But anyway, at this point, I just want to run the train for you. So, oh, we're getting close. So there's our track that would go. It's not. Yeah, that track runs right straight into the oil fields for pickup. So at some point there, we're going to put a Y in coming out of the oil fields where you can head straight over to the refinery, which obviously makes sense. You don't want to do that. Probably didn't need to explain that to you, I'm sure. Anyway, one of the reasons this video, I've seen people, some folks streaming videos, or I don't know, YouTube or what, where they were laying track by just pulling out little teeny sections and trying to, you know, angle the curve slightly to try to get a nice curve. So obviously the game has tools to help you, and you know, taking the time to learn how to use them instead of, you know, just using the first thing that happens to work. Here's a good point. We might want to switch this switch. Okay, here's another thing, another little tip and trick I'm going to give you. If you flick this switch, so the game tells you to drag left and right. Okay, you see that? All right, so you click on it. Okay, first little tip and trick. If you don't see your little crosshair, press the F key, G key twice and it'll come back up. All right, so if you're on the side of the point, so we click and flick, there you go. It works like you would think. I want to switch it this way, I click it, click and drag to the left, it switches every time, perfect. You know, now I was fumbling with these switches to drive me crazy, and here's why. If you come running up on a switch the other way, okay, I want to switch it. No, I'm doing it the way that would logically seem to work, but from this side of the switch, okay, it worked. You have to remember, if you're on the point side, you come running up on a switch on the point side, the train's, you know, behind you, it's coming up, it's going to hit this switch, you need to switch it. You come up here, flick, bam, it does it every time. Okay, you're on the point side. But you come running this way, and you click and flick what you think should work. No. You know, it only worked because I flipped my mouse back. If you click and flip in the opposite direction, when you're on the opposite side of the points, click and flick in the opposite direction, and you see that it works every time. So that's the trick to how the switches work. you've got to remember which side of the switch. If you're coming from, if you're coming from the back side of the points, you got to flip opposite to what you would think. Okay, crazy little bit of tidbit there that, hey, you guys probably have already figured all that out for yourselves. I'm the last guy to figure it out, so I think I'm giving you a tip, but it's just bullshit. Anyway, hey, let's get this bad boy, get some steam on board and get going. So here we go. Hate this little F key. I really, really wish that they would just let us have some sort of a little key that we could press that would flash and give us just this little information here. I don't need all this crap over here. I like to run the engine in first person. I like that immersive element that this game has, and I wouldn't give that up for the world. It's not about, to me, it's not about the ease of running the engine. It's about the immersion of running an engine in a way that would have actually been closer to reality. This engine is not real by any long shot because it doesn't have any injector. The water level that you look at in this engine is basically the water level in the tender. That water sight gauge that you see there, this over here, that should be showing you the water level in the boiler. And and when it gets lower, you have to run either an exhaust steam or a live steam injector. And because think about it, you've got a boiler that's pressurized. You can't just open up a hatch and pour some water in. You have to have something that can push water into that pressurized boiler at a pressure higher than whatever's in the boiler. And that's called an injector. It's a very, very critical part of a steam engine. And if you forget to run the injector, as has happened on I forget which line, I think it might have been the Gettysburg steam engine, they let the water level get so low in the boiler that it melted the crown sheet. The crown sheet is the top. It's kind of like the roof of the firebox. And there's water, the way it's built, water comes up and over that. We've got steam up, so I'm talking away here waiting for steam to come up, and it's already up. So anyway, that crown sheet is usually what gives it up first because it's taking the brunt of. Now notice I just put 2 logs in there. At some point, we're going to have to haul cordwood or something into the firewood depot to be able to pick up firewood. So I'm trying to get myself in the habit of not just wasting the living hell out of firewood, because at some point you're not going to be able to just have infinite supplies of firewood like you have now. But I don't know why I moved that. This is called the reverser for all you guys that don't know. And it not only goes forward and backward, it's got stages in between that are used to adjust the cutoff of the steam. And that's another little, if you're really interested in steam engines, you enjoy this game, take the time to actually, I wonder if I left this switch switched. Yeah, I did. I left it switched the way we want. So that's a minor miracle with all the playing I did with that. Anyway, we are rolling, and I'm liking it. Let's back this off. I'm not in a big hurry. Probably run a little bit faster than that. We've got some decent track to come through. I get to get up on here and just, watch the scenery. Just love this game. The sound of the steam, the sounds are good, the physics are good. I mean, cars derail, and occasionally there's some crazy derailments where things go flying off. And that probably is the game developers fighting with the Unreal Engine, trying to get the physics worked out. But anyway, they have done a fantastic job on the physics in this game to me. I was pushing cars through a curve, the way that they derailed, they pushed out of the curve and flipped on their side. I mean, it all looked very, very realistic. So, man, they've just made fantastic progress in this game to me. And the release, I mean, this is an early release, and man, I hope that's not too close to the track. Whew. The early release of this game to be as stable as it is just incredible. I mean, think about it. I have not had a crash in this game ever. A game crash. you know, where and you know, Star Citizen's 12 years in on development, and they're still constantly getting 30Ks or whatever. You know, all kinds of different crashes in Star Citizen. It boggles my mind that people put up with that. I mean, I've got Star Citizen. I play Star Citizen. I'm sure I'll play it more, but I really wish they'd fix the core elements of the game, you know, before they progress on. I mean, it seems to me like you got a game about, you know, flying spaceships. You should have that part of it locked down after 12 years. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, here we're going through this curve, I believe, and you see, look at this. We're transitioning. It's getting, you know, we're not just jumping right off into a really sharp. Oh, that's close. Ah, dang it. So, yeah. There we go. There we go. A little demonstration of the physics. And like I say, I have a feeling that's the Unreal Engine fighting the developers. But anyway, with that, I think we're in the video here. But you see, this curve really looks nice to me, and that's what I really love. I don't know. There's some sort of aesthetic with the curve, and this is something that there's a curve. There's Dead Man's Curve near here that and I've gotten out and just taken pictures. That is a beautiful curve. I mean, it's laid to perfection, and it's a curve that obviously has got its name for a reason, but it hasn't had any problems in years and years. And I have a feeling that is because the curve was relayed with the transitions, and it was probably early laid in the 19th century, where it just kind of went into a curve, and then it just went through the curve at that angle and came back out. But if you put the transitions in, it really helps the situation. All right, let's see. I guess I'll hitch this back up. I mean, in for a penny, in for a pound at this point, huh? Okay. Here's something you got to look out for when you have this little problem. I don't know whether you can see it, but the link, there is a bent link there. Now, there's no link here. There was never a link there, because you always have to pop back in. You always have to attach with the tongue in your tender. So when you first buy an engine, you got to put the tongue in the tender. You don't put a link on the engine. And I mention that because, I was really scratching my head trying to figure out why it wouldn't let me, couple to the tender. And because I always have this deal where I put I always put the link on the engine side of a car, and that way I don't have, because if you have two link on both ends, you can't couple up, of course. Okay, well, we're back on the track here. If the engine didn't come off, we really shouldn't have any problems with continuing on. Anyway, throw some wood in there. Certainly didn't. Okay, we'll probably run off the end of the track out here or something now after all that. Anyway, that bites that we didn't get to roll through the curve there without having one. Man, don't tell me I got another one. Yeah. Now, I don't dare cut down either of those trees there, because this one is too close. I missed that one. Wow, this is, I deleted this to get my catch, to get my my start relaying the but see, we know since it was between, all I do is now I don't have to worry about it. See, it's straight. Good grief. Anyway, there we go. We should be we're obviously at the end of track, so I guess I'll roll it on back here, stop it, and then we'll run through and highball it all the way back to the freight depot. And of course, y'all can quit watching for those of you who haven't quit watching yet at any point you want to. And frankly, that's probably was long ago. But anyway, here we go. Let's back her up a little bit. Come on, baby. Show everybody what a good engineer I am. Actually, probably can't call me a good engineer because I'm not at the controls. I had one guy on my Twitch stream tell me that if I had stepped away from the controls on a moving locomotive like I just did, that I'd have been fired on the spot and security would have escorted me off the property. And I believe it. I believe it. Alright, I think we're far enough back. Yep, that's good. And I didn't run off the track, so that's something too. Anyway, working these controls, you see my little crosshair there? If you don't have the crosshair, it's so much harder. So again, just hit your G key twice and the crosshair will come back if it's gone missing. So little fun fact. And that makes operating the controls so much easier. I don't know why. I mean, I guess it just helps the game lock onto what you're doing. So we haven't obviously gotten to where I'm going with this track, but I'll continue that in a moment. All right, so here's what I was talking about hitching up. So this thing is in like it's in first gear. So what we're doing is changing the point in the stroke where it cuts off the steam being fed in, because at a certain speed it gets up and the steam itself is keeping it from going faster. You can't push the steam back out fast enough at a higher speed, so it can't go faster. You can only push volume of steam that's going through there. It's obviously powerful enough to push that cylinder back and forth. Let's knock it down to about 72% or so. Well, heck, I don't know. We need to do that. We've got good track from here to there. I'm sure that when I showed you the engine, you noticed that it has small drivers. So this is obviously not a high-speed engine, but it's much faster than the Heisler or the Climax. So to me, this is the workhorse engine of this railroad. This is my second one. And I named my two moguls Elijah and Isaiah. And still haven't had anybody on my Twitch stream figure out how, I thought it's a little clever naming idea I had, but apparently it's so damn clever that it's obscure. Either that or it's just, so it's clever in my own mind. It has nothing to do with the reality of other people's perception. Anyway, here's this nice straight track here running up this. I'll show you where we are. We're working our way back to the freight depot. So, man, if I ran from, this would be the furthest track. I could run this all the way down through the sawmill, down to the smelter, and then back around up to the iron mine. That's a pretty good run. Myself just sort of daydreaming sometimes, running this game, thinking about what it would have been like to work on a small logging railroad back in the mid to late 19th century, and that life, running steam engines. I have a feeling that most of those guys, from our perspective, didn't realize how lucky they were, because that was just another job. I mean, the Napoleonic frigate captains didn't realize they were the fighter pilots of their day, but there you go. Anyway, we're gonna stop her at the depot and end the video, I believe. Let's see. I see signs of life ahead. I think there's something up there. Yeah, that's actually our team track where you buy new. Oh, that's over there. This is my servicing area there behind the depot. All right, well, let's stop here and get our next train order. Anyway, folks, thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, man, you got my respect. You really do. Have a great day, and I hope that this has, been of some benefit, and you learned a little something. Anyway,